Hello everyone, I'm Xiaogang. Okay, so let's take a look at the most important second part of this chapter, called RPC. RPC stands for Remote Procedure Call because its invocation and execution are actually different. It allows the client to control the server, enabling them to send information to each other. Its main function is to execute some unreliable or temporary repair events. So sometimes when we play effects or sounds, we can use this kind of RPC. It generally does not affect the normal operation of the extra. But before that, these events were mainly handled through property replication. You monitor the property change and then replicate it. So let me give a simple example. For instance, if someone is drawing cards, he himself is drawing cards on the client side. Then, after the server finishes drawing the card results, the server only needs to send the results of this card to him as well. The attributes are synchronized over. Then let him generate the effects on his computer. This is RPC. Now suppose we have a player who sends a full screen effect, and it is displayed on all player screens. That is, a certain player has won the first prize in this card pool. Then this is a broadcast, as we just mentioned. If it is only displayed on this player's screen, that the server calls a specific client to execute an operation, right? Actually, we just need you to, in this place, as long as you only need to remember 3 types. We only need to remember server, client, multicast. You just need to remember these 3 methods so that they can be used. So how is it declared? Actually, you declare it through this macro method. It is declared. This declares, one thing is that this is called on the server. It is called on the server, but it is executed on the client, and this function is called on the client, but executed on the server. So it's server client. Then multicast, it's called broadcast. We call it multicast or broadcast, and it is executed on the server and all currently connected all clients to declare a multi-ast function. Note, there will be pitfalls here. There will be pitfalls here, because here, when it executes on the server, that is its blueprint, will it execute on the server? Its C++ function, will it execute on the server? Then we'll try it out later and find out. Because its behavior is different in your RPC, you can also call it on the client. But after it is called, it only executes on the local machine. Don't bother memorizing this, just know it. Don't use it often. Only remember 3 standard usages. Then, these 3 red ones, they are mainly just prompts. Then you need to use this RPC. First, you must clarify in what situations it is useful. First, they are definitely used based on actors, and the actor must be replicable. So when you want to use this client, then this client must have an owner. That is to say, it needs to be with this. We talk about this PlayerController, its connection. You need to give it this connection. Only then can you use this client. If you call this server, then you call it from the client. Then this actor must have an owner. It must be replicated. Only then can you, right? Because this is the case. And when we demonstrated property synchronization in the previous chapter, you will find that if it has no owner, its properties will not be synchronized. So the owner is really crucial in our network replication. You must have this concept. We emphasized it again. And for this multicast RPC, it emphasizes that it is called on the server. Then the server will execute it locally and on all connected clients. Then it is called by the client. Then it will be on the local machine or server. You don't need to memorize this. We need to verify this. We'll write it down for him later. Only after verification will everyone know. And here, it has a simple multi-wave mechanism. We'll just ignore it. Okay, as for this table here, everyone doesn't need to memorize it, actually. But during interviews, they like to ask you about it. If the interviewer is particularly tricky, they won't ask you about the correct usage of these client and server newcast functions. They'll ask you about these strange ways instead. First of all, for this unreplicated one, you simply don't need to memorize it. If not replicated, it executes wherever it is supposed to execute. Right. As for broadcasting, you can see if it is a broadcast on the server, then it executes on all servers and clients. If the server is calling a server RPC, it only executes on the server. If the server wants to execute on a specific client, then the client must own this actor. Yes, then if you call this RPC on the client without replication, it all executes on the client. If it is a broadcast, then it also executes on all clients. If the client calls the server, only this one is owned. use the one that is linked to our player control. Then it will execute on the server if the client drops the client, then execute on the client. Actually, this is a 99 penalty table. That is, don't memorize it by rote. You cannot memorize it by rote. You need to understand. You need to base it on the broadcast we discussed. Server clan. What is the correct way for them to execute? Then all other methods, we can consider them as incorrect. As for when it is incorrect, how you should handle it. Understand it this way. Then our clan, most of them are unreliable. You can use reliable to ensure that this call must be executed. So you can add a reliable, then through blueprint. In this case, blueprint. It is actually the same. You need blueprint. You cannot mark it through functions. You must do it through events. After creating an event like this, you can just make a selection. Then our RPC, it now actually has a feature called validation, because before we execute it, if an error is detected, then this reflag will not execute it. So it's like it has a validation. Of course, our RPC declaration is followed by this implementation because it is quite special. Why add it? Because the UHT defines. It defines this reality function to facilitate matching to add these extra features, and at the same time, it encourages you to use the safe judgment to facilitate checking, restrict both sides. This makes it very convenient for us when debugging. Okay, then let's go through this document up to here for now, and then we'll write this thing one by one for everyone.